Are you ready? Turn it up! Yeah! Welcome to the noise inside your head. No holding back, we live on the edge. Let's go!
And welcome back into the Sage Against the Machine podcast. I can't even say my own damn podcast name. Sage Against the Machine podcast, episode 3, as we are here again for another fun time. It is me, myself, Nathan Sage, former U.S. Senate candidate, as well as my co-host, you know him, Dr. Bob Leonard, who is a retired radio journalist with bylines in the New York Times, Time, USA Today, and many more publications, and he does write on Substack under Deep Midwest Politics and Culture. Dr. Bob Leonard, say hello.
Hey, Nathan. Welcome, JD.
There we go. Thank you, Dr. Bob. And now, the one we've been missing for a while, who finally gets to join us, my best friend, co-host of KHOI's Capital Week with Laura Bellin. And
you're just thinking of the truck series when you look at me.
Well, I was going to say something. Now you're messing me up. I'm
the Craftsman Truck Series fan, so now he's just thinking truck racing.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say he likes the trucks more than the cups. Spencer Dirks, say hello.
First of all, thank you very much, Nathan. You are also my best friend, and it really does mean a lot that you asked me to do this with you. Dr. Bob, viva la revolution. Good to see you again. And a lot of people have been waiting for this moment. So, yes, I'm really excited to be back with you guys. I was looking for a fourth job. So I also thank you for that, Nathan. And Dr. Bob needed a job, too. This is his 8th job. So...
It's like my 100th job over my lifetime.
Right.
Okay, well, we could talk about our jobs all day long, but we got a special guest with us today. We got former Iowa State Representative, former U.S. Senate candidate, my former opponent for a short time, J.D. Scholten, joining us up in Northwest Iowa. How are you doing, J.D.?
I'm doing all right.
Good. I'm glad you could join us. I appreciate you taking your time out of your time to hang out with us 3 losers on this podcast and have a good time.
You guys are my people.
Yeah. So my first question for you, honestly, coming on, doing what you're doing, what you've been up to? Obviously, since the session ended for at the Iowa State Capitol. I know you're no longer going to be running, being a part of it. Take us through that process and what you're doing now. So
I'm still a state legislator. I am until they swear the next person in, and whoever wins the November election. So. Still doing those things. Like literally yesterday, I was working with a constituent. They cut Medicaid cuts in Northwest Iowa. They cut a contract. So now all of Northwest Iowa only has, if you're on Medicaid, you only have one doctor to see for ears, nose, and throat. So that cuts Cherokee, cuts Sioux Center, cuts Lamar's, and cuts one of the other doctors in the Sioux City area. So there's still stuff to be doing about that. I took a little bit of time off. I went on a couple vacations, went out to Chicago for the Obama Center before they opened. After I got out of the Senate race, I was an Obama Foundation Leader program, which was a 6-month program. And we got a sneak preview to the Presidential Center, which was pretty cool. Everyone should check that out. And then my girlfriend and I went to Montana, did some hiking up in Glacier, beautiful country up there. And then we went to a music festival in Missoula and took a little bit of time for myself, which, in the last few years, I haven't had that. So it was pretty nice.
I'm insanely jealous. I would love to be going hiking in Montana and seeing some music festivals with my wife. That'd be a blast. So
yeah,
totally jealous of that. But yeah, I want to get you on here specifically because when we talk about things in Iowa, it seems like, and this may be just me, but it seems like nobody ever wants to talk about Northwest Iowa. It seems like that's the dark region, mainly because Steve King is up there and everybody hates that guy. But it's just like that dark area of Iowa because that's where it's very hardcore Republican, obviously. And I went up there and did my 99 county tour. You've been up there. You ran for Congress up there twice, and you know those people. You got in your RV. You went across everywhere. Tell people about Northwest Iowa. Tell people about that. It's like we were just talking. There are Republicans and it's hardcore, but there are independents and Democrats out there that are are almost begging for help at the same time, and don't like to be forgotten about. Talk a little bit about Northwest Iowa to you and what it kind of means to you.
Well, I would do a caveat that when you say Northwest Iowa is forgotten, it's when it comes to the Democratic Party.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
When it comes to Republicans, they're all over the place up there. And it's one of those things. Having campaigned there when I ran for Congress in 2018 and 2020, it's a district that had 70,000 more Republicans than Democrats. So you don't have the luxury of just talking to Democrats and turning them out to vote. You have to expand your horizons and welcome people into your coalition. And so the thing is, there's a lot of needs in the district. Rural America, there are some parts that are doing well. There's a few farmers in every county that are doing very well, but there's a lot of folks who aren't. And you look at a lot of these cities or these towns, and they're just shades of what they used to be. And that's something that, to me, was a huge focal point of how do we change Iowa? How do we get it back to where it was? Because like these main streets, the only thing that's really going into them, a lot of them are a Mexican restaurant or a Mexican grocery or a Central American grocery store. It's a very immigrant forward place. And so it's an extractive economy. And so you have wealth just leaving the area and not as much going back in. And then where's it going? It's going to Wall Street, these huge corporations. Another thing I'm extremely worried about that I like to talk about a lot is you look at how many Iowa corporations and even generational corporations are being sold to either out of state or even out of country. There's a lot around Sioux City, and I worry about what Sioux City is going to look like in 20 years when that community engagement isn't quite there. We have in Lamar's, you had Wells Blue Bunny being sold to Italian ice cream maker, and what does that mean for the Lamar's community in Northwest Iowa in 20 years?
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Bob, I know you were itching to ask a few questions. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just curious. One of the things and you mentioned the Democratic Party had largely abandoned the area, but some people might disagree with it. But one of the things that bothers me, I think what you're saying is true, and they do that too with the southern two tiers of counties. The southern two tiers don't count. And when I hear, different people saying and reporting, that 3 of Iowa's 4 congressional races are in play. Mm-hmm. It's like, what if you're in that 4th district? It's what are you? They don't care about you. And I understand when the Cook Political Report says something like that. But when the Democratic Party or Democrats say that, and I guess I can't point to a specific time that they did, but I know they've done it. It's like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you say it's not in play and you're a Democrat, it's not in play, is it? What does it feel like when you hear that?
Well, here's the reality, and I'm not here to crap on the party or whatever, because we don't have infinite amount of money, and we have to choose resources and things like that. I get that, but think about Sioux City, the 4th largest city in the entire state. My campaign in 2018 was very focused in Sioux City and turning out to vote there. And we were the first time a candidate beat Steve King in Woodbury County in that, which is Sioux City is in. And since that time, we had COVID, and then we had the 2022 Senate and governor's race that didn't have anybody there or barely had somebody there, if anything. 2024, we didn't have anybody like professional organizers there. And so the next time we had somebody boots on the ground in Sioux City was Senator Caitlin Dre's special election. And look what happened there. And so my argument is, if you want to win statewide, you have to compete in Sioux City. You have to compete in Northwest Iowa. There's Democrats everywhere. And there's a lot of people, when you go and talk to them, that's the biggest thing that I saw in my congressional races, is when you go out and have a chance to talk to people, you can convince them that, hey, I'm not asking you to be a Democrat, but I'm asking you to vote for one. And that's something that we did really well. And in a district that Trump won by 27, we lost by 3 points in 2018. And that's what we did. But if we ran a conventional DC campaign where you just fundraise and put up ads on TV, that's not doing it. You got to do something different. And I like to think that our campaign in 2018 did a model of what we should be doing.
Absolutely. Spencer Dirks, I know you're your first time being on our co-host. You better have a doozy of a question for JD since you're premiering today. Go ahead, Spencer.
Well, first of all, I want to know what baseball team you're a fan of, because Nathan, before we got on, said he wore the Yankees hat because he knows you're not a Yankees fan. So now I want to know what you're a fan of.
Yeah, my politics and my baseball fandom are the same. I like those small market teams. I'm a Twins fan, you know.
Dude, did I not call it? Did I not call it? I'm also a Twins fan. I said, well, he's from, Sioux City, that area. Royals are Twins. So, so that leads me to my next question. So obviously a lot of people know that you played for the Sioux City Explorers. You had this baseball background. You even mentioned before we got on that you didn't really pay attention to politics 20 years ago. So why politics? Why did you get involved?
I mean, I paid attention. I just wasn't super consumed like with the day in, day out type of stuff. I mean, I think growing up in Iowa, when you have the caucuses and everything, like we paid attention. We weren't, I think growing up, we didn't go to a lot of events, but like my mom brought me to see Tom Harkin in 1990 when I was 10 years old, And so that's really, I don't know, put a weight on things for me. But ultimately, like when Trump won in 2016, I knew I wanted to do something more. And I saw what happened in the country and I saw what happened here in Iowa. And I was like, I want to do something, but I didn't know what that meant. And it felt like a calling. And the last almost decade now of running for office and everything, it's been very meaningful to me. I'm a fighter. I love competition. I like the challenge. Being a Democrat in Northwest Iowa is not easy. For the last, until Caitlin Dray, my first 3 years down at the Capitol, I was the only Democrat in 42 counties. And Josh Turk and I were the only two on the western half of the state. And we like to say that we were the Western Iowa Democratic Coalition. And we would have meetings. We'd meet up at a bar or something just to have a drink or hang out. And we would say, well, meeting we're calling a meeting. So, but yeah, it's one of those things. I never thought I would get into politics, but the moment and everything, it felt right. And it's been very meaningful to me personally.
When I met you, we were talking. We met a long time ago about me potentially running, and then you jumped in. And I remember when you jumped in, you told me that you jumped in because of what Senator Joni Ernst said when we were all going to die, and that fired you up. And I think it fired a lot of people up. But I know it fired Josh up. It fired a lot of people up, and the process going through that, and then the endorsement of Josh, and going forward, and now we have good old Ashley Henson running for that spot as well. But take us through your thought process and how it went from there to where it is today, and how you feel that Iowa can win back that Senate seat. I know that me and you are on the same page, and we know Josh is the guy. We know that he can pull out the votes, and we know we can win. But talk about that process of being pissed off like I was, and all of us were when we heard what Joni said, and just wanting to just do something and get out there. Talk about how that felt and how you feel now looking at the future with Josh Turk as our candidate.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like I've done a lot of things in politics that you would argue probably aren't. If you were a consultant, you're like, don't do that, JD. Like in my 2018 campaign, I had a primary, and we had a chance to go up on air on television or buy an RV, and I bought an RV. Ultimately, that ended up getting enough buzz that we raised more money, and we ended up going on air. But like things like that, and so like when it came to the Senate race, I was thinking about it, and then once that happened, like I remember that it was a Friday morning when she had that. I remember it vividly because I was on my way to a funeral, and it was a Sioux City activist, Gary Lipschutz. I've known him most of my life. He's a big sports fan as well, and Senator Harkin was there, and so I'm sitting, at a funeral. What you do, you just think about life. You think about this person's life, honoring that person, and something clicked there, and And then that was a Friday morning. And then she doubled down the next day with her weird video in the cemetery. And that's when I was just like, I don't know about this. And then Monday morning, I didn't have an ActBlue set up. We didn't have a website. We just like, we got to do this. And so we launched, again, probably not the best, but like, it's one of those things, either you're going to catch lightning or you're not. And part of it too, like I was still playing professional baseball. And so like, there's a lot, that kind of went into it. So it was weird. I'll be the first to admit, but at the same time, I was like, I'll do it. But then once the one big beautiful bill passed, and Josh said, like what Josh has endured in his career and his life and everything. I have so much respect for that guy, and I was like, there's not a better person in Iowa or in this country that can talk about Medicaid cuts and what that means to family than Josh. And so that was the reasoning behind that. And then since then, I just wanted to help him out, and we've gotten to be good friends. Like I said, we're the Western Iowa Coalition, and so anything that I can do to help him, that's what I've been trying to do.
So how do you see the race right now? How do you see it, especially with Ashley Hinson and Josh? Like, obviously, yeah. I know how I feel. I feel very strongly, obviously. But what do you think are the strong points? Honestly, let's give that moment for Ashley. What are her strong points that we need to make sure that Josh is overcoming?
Well, here's the thing. Her campaign is talking about Josh. You don't do that when you're comfortably ahead. And so that has been very interesting for me to see. You see the national polling that's come out, you know well as anybody that they've done polling, and if they're not making it public, it's not good for them. And so Josh has a tremendous opportunity here. The thing for me that really gets me going is like, you think of like, what is Hinson done in her time in Congress, and the one thing that to me is that the only thing she's really championed is because she's gone along with the Republican Party on the huge Medicaid cuts and tax breaks for the super wealthy and subsidizing private jets, at our cost. But she's done the Save the Bacon Act, which she's trying to say it's a champion. All she is a champion for huge corporate monopolies. That's all that is, our farmers, our Iowa farmers, that's not the saving grace that they need. They need to break up these monopolies, not give them more power. And so, to me, like she's willing to do the bidding of the lobbyists and all that. And I just feel like that's not the direction we need for Iowa senator.
Dr. Bob, I know you've wanted to talk to JD about monopolies. Now use your shot.
Well, yeah, I think that's some of your most important work, is keeping that, front and center and doing your best. I don't know if a lot of people, I know you've got a good following, but I don't know if a lot of people know about just how devastating all of these monopolies are on our local economies, on farming, on, just virtually every aspect of life. And the conversations that you've had with other people and your co-author, about vertical integration. My God, it's just, I don't think people know enough about it. Could you sort of, give us an overview of the current state of affairs and what you think needs to be done?
Yeah, so I think you said co-author, so my Substack, you're probably getting screwed, which, yeah. So Justin, my co-author, is part of the Minnesota Farmers Union, and his title, I forget what it officially is, but it's something pretty cool, like a director of anti-monopoly or something like that. Here's how I got into this. Like, it's one of those things that in 2018, when I was running initially, nobody was really talking about. And when I did our county tours and went out there in my RV and just started talking to farmers, it didn't matter if they would always vote for me or never vote for me or anywhere in between. I heard the same thing over and over. Farmers were getting squeezed by a handful of companies that sold the input, and they were getting squeezed on the market side where they were selling to. And it just, this constant theme. And then once you broaden it out larger, you see that in almost every industry. And we're at a point now where we're more consolidated now than we ever have in our lifetime. And if you don't think that impacts you every single day in your choices, what you go to the grocery store, what hospital or healthcare service you have, like everything. It impacts everything. And to me, these corporations, the easiest thing is to look at tech and how much big tech influences your life. You know, we're all addicted, or I'm addicted to my phone. The young kids on Instagram or Snapchat and all that, and how they can be manipulated on there. That is incredibly powerful. Well, let's say like Facebook and or Twitter or X, whatever it is, like if they decide to cut you off or just post messages supporting one side, that's incredibly powerful. And so for the sake of our democracy, we need to make sure that these corporations don't have as much power as they do now. And I think that's to me, it's a democracy issue. And Judge Brandeis has this great quote, this former Supreme Court Justice Brandeis. He goes, you can have wealth concentrated in the hands of a few, or you can have a democracy, but you cannot have both. And we're at a point now, like it's so like clear. And one of the things that I was really glad when Josh Turek had his debates with Zach Walz was how much monopoly got mentioned in those debates. Because like I said, in 2018, I felt I was a silo talking about those things. And I pushed every 2020 candidate when they came through during the caucuses to talk about this stuff. And some of them did. And I'll give credit, like Biden, like of anybody in my lifetime, of any president in my lifetime, he did the most, but it's still not enough of what we need to do.
Absolutely. I want to turn it over to Spencer Dirks, but I'm now fearful to turn it over to Spencer Dirks now that I know that there's two Twins fans. Well, there's two Twins fans, and I'm a Yankees fan. Even though we dominate you all the time, I just want to make sure that we don't.
Well, now I'm not going to be nice. Why would I be nice now?
Go ahead, Spencer Dirks.
JD, it's just you and me now, okay? We can just forget about Nathan. So I want to go back to your neck of the woods. So we do have Dave Dawson running against Chris McGowan in the 4th district. It looks like the other 3 districts, I mean, 2 of them are probably considered toss-up, the 1st and the 3rd. The 2nd might, be in play. People assume the 4th, like always, will not be in play. But why would people vote for Dave Dawson over Chris McGowan?
The exciting thing about Dave is he's the first candidate we've had, a nominee, Democratic nominee, who's actually held office before. So like when I ran, that was my first race I ran. And so he was in the state legislature before. So like he's just like the most principled, structured person that like he's helped the Woodbury Dems out a tremendous amount. And so like I'm just thrilled that he decided to run and he's our nominee. It's only the 2nd time we've had a primary. The other time was my 2018 race. So it kind of shows you like the tides are turning and there's a lot of folks who are upset and want to do something. And so I wouldn't count it completely out. Dave's run a very grassroots campaign and is getting out there. He's doing the work, and I appreciate everything he's doing. And you look at Chris McGowan and like it. I know him well, dealing with the Sioux City Chamber, and it's just he's like I don't know if he's held events. Like maybe as I'm not in the Republican circles, but like you don't see him out there. I haven't seen any social media. I haven't seen anything. And so I don't know if the Republicans are just taking it for granted or what, but maybe that's the playbook because I mean, we haven't seen too many events from Zach Lane since he's been the nominee. Hinson doesn't really make anything public since I think she had one town hall very early on and didn't go well. Grassley seems Zach Nunn doesn't like it, I don't know. I know we're in a very polarized time and I know Democrats are charged up, but like that you just hide in like the Republican candidates are just hiding in a basement, so to speak, like what they claim Biden was doing. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
That's definitely a basement I never want to step foot in.
Yes.
You mentioned there that you had a primary, up in Northwest Iowa. I was thinking, I was like, we've seen a lot of first time candidates, myself included, a lot of people coming out of the woodwork, doing their thing, speaking truth to power. But also, so this is kind of a two-part question for you, JD. I know that you are stepping aside and you're not going to be following, you're not going to be at the Capitol anymore. So take us through, like why that decision was made, why you decided to now was the time to kind of step aside, and then also in that same aspect, like what first time candidates who might be looking at you as somebody that they look up to and go, what do you have for advice for those first time candidates like myself and people that have come out of the woodwork, and knowing that how hard it is, and knowing that how the challenges at the Capitol, and you're stepping aside. Take us through, first of all, why you decided to step aside, and then what advice you have for those people that might want to replace you someday.
So after I won re-election, so going into 2025, the legislative session, I was like, okay, I got to find a way to have some sort of income outside of, like, the legislature doesn't pay that well. I mean, it is what it is. It feels almost full time, but we get paid like for quarter time type of scenario. But it's an honor to be there. I'm not trying to discourage that. It just came to a point where I thought, 2026 is going to be a good year. If I leave now, my replacement should be a Democrat, and if the tougher year is the presidential year. And so they can win this year if they put in the work, which Sean is doing. And if then the re-election will be the tougher one, and he'll be already an incumbent. So that was kind of my mindset of there. I still feel the fight. I still feel the fury and all that. And I'm trying to find a job right now to match that. And so I've been interviewing and trying to figure out what's next with that. But to all candidates, especially first time folks, like, run as yourself. That's to me, like, I had so many people like, oh, you can't run like this. Oh, you can't say this. Oh, don't do this. It's like, be yourself, I remember towards the end of my 2018 campaign, we were getting a lot of press, and I went on Chris Hayes' show, and I remember him specifically saying, at the very end, he kind of threw in, well, you can't run on Medicare for all there. I go, I am running on Medicare for all, because this district is mostly farmers and mostly small business owners who don't have employer health insurance. Where's their insurance coming from? And it's if you lead with your values and you're authentic, you go out there and work hard. Iowans reward hard work, and that's something that I saw very clearly. I gave everything I had in those two congressional campaigns, and running uphill is not easy. And here I am about a decade later, after I thought I was just going to run for one race, and so for me, it's just kind of seems the right time to do something different, but still stay in the fight.
Absolutely. Dr. Bob Spencer, I know we're running out of time for the interview. I mean, we're going to have JD stay on, but is there any other specific questions that you have for JD?
I've got a good one if he'll answer it.
Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah.
That's a way to start it out.
Well, I just wanted to give him a little bit of warning. Give me the top 3, 4, 5, whatever, people who you admire in the Iowa legislature, in your time. It's not going to be all the people, just a few people. And then give me your worst Republican.
All right. So I will say I've only been to the Senate side once or twice. Once. I've been to the balcony another time, but like I've only been, so like I don't deal with the Senate. So like I'm only going to talk about the House people.
Okay.
I admire a lot of my colleagues. I will say the person that stands out the most to me is my roommate. I'm close with him, Representative Zabner, out of Iowa City. Here's just an example of why I admire him. We get to choose where we sit, and there was an opening, and he sits right in the middle where all the Republicans are. Like there's one there. I think there's 4 different quadrants, and he sits in the one that has been for years only Republicans, and he sits right in the middle, and he just stirs the pot with them. But he is incredibly intelligent. He has a good political mind. He led the efforts with things to I mean, we don't have a lot of power in the minority down there, and so getting things like the governor's plane, he really did a good job of making sure that was in the news and stayed in the news and stayed in the legislature, like things like that, like things that we should be questioning. I think he does a really good job with that, and so that's somebody I admire. The worst Republican. You know, there's a bunch of them. There's
It's hard to pick. We get it.
I know. Here's the thing is that there's a bunch that you just don't like. There's a bunch that like are just kind of annoying. The ones that are, to me, are the worst, and I'm not going to say the name, but the worst to me is the people who know better.
Mm-hmm.
And if they hear this and see this, they know, you know? And so there's a couple that I can't believe, like, when we have our conversations, we get along, we can talk about stuff, and that's great, but they have never voted against their party one time. And that is something I don't have much respect for, because they know, and they're just doing party line stuff. And that's to me, like you, because you look at the 4 years, we've radicalized the state in the last 4 years down at the Capitol. And every single controversial vote has had bipartisan opposition, meaning that the Republicans will pass it, but there is Republicans who flipped, who like, the easy thing to do is to vote for it and because it's like it's going to pass anyways. The hard thing is to stand up for what's right and not vote for a lot of this stuff. And the folks who have just voted along party line every time because they may not, they're more worried about a primary challenger than anything else. That's the part that I don't have a lot of respect for. And I'll just bring this back quickly to, like, you talk about Northwest Iowa and Steve King. You brought up Steve King. I am no way promoting Steve King, but the one thing I do have respect for him a little bit is that he was anti-establishment. And I think that's what Northwest Iowa, at the root of what we are, we're anti-establishment. Like, I feel like as a Democrat, I've kind of done my own thing. I feel like a Republican from Northwest Iowa, if they're not doing their own thing, they're doing a disservice to the constituents. And that's where you see the anti-pipeline folks. That's where you see, and I mean, even a lot of, like, the the more populist Republicans, you kind of see in that space. So that's kind of my 2 cents.
You know, what frustrates me with what you kind of said there was, you know, you said that, you know, it's harder to stand up and do the right thing for some of these Republicans. It's harder for them to stand up and do the right thing. They're more worried about their being primary than they are. And I feel like, and that's the thing that just digs in my skin, that pisses me off, that it's like, we as a country, for whatever reason, we have these representatives that aren't here to represent us. They're here to make sure that they can keep the status quo and make sure that everything's, instead of standing, like, I just don't understand it. And then, like, we talked about it last episode of the Grand Planters, doing the right thing. And I just never understand why that is such a hard thing to do. It's like these people's moral compasses get shoved up their ass because they can't figure out, you know, that I truly believe that most people will stand by somebody who stands and shows their moral conviction and stands and says, hey, this is why I'm doing this, and this is the reason, because it's the right thing to do. I feel like more constituents and more people across the state will stand with somebody like that, as opposed to somebody who is just saying things to make sure that they have an opportunity and nobody's going to primary them, or there's not going to any political backlash from that. And I'm just so frustrated with that. I'm so tired of that. so when you said that, it just popped up in my head, and yeah.
Well, just there's an overall theme in politics right now. There's no incentive to work together. There's no incentive, and so like I back when I was running for Congress when Trump was in his first term, I always said if Trump ran on universal health care, because he did mention universal health care in his first campaign, I go, if he comes out with Trump care, I don't care what it, like, if it serves the people, I would support it, you know, like, I don't care. Like, we need that. The fact that in America that we don't have pitchforks for healthcare. You look at the World Cup, every other country had universal healthcare. We're the only country.
And we're the richest.
So, yes. And it's so crazy to me. And like, I quit saying Medicare for all after the 2020 campaign. I just universal health care. I don't care what it looks like. How do we get it covered? Like, we can argue about the details. I get that. But the fact that every single one of us, we should not be tied to a job just so we can save on healthcare. I've done that, you know. In my 20s, I've had to choose between healthcare and rent. And my mom doesn't like the answer, you know.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I just don't understand as a nation, how we're not just we're so complacent in a lot of these things, and you're starting to see things more now than I did in 2018. I saw the anger and the frustration and all that. Then it started to die down. We had COVID, we had some things, and then now I'm starting to see it again. And I tell everyone, there's an economic populist movement waiting to happen in this country, and especially here in Iowa. And that was part of the reason I wanted to run is like, you did a great job with it, tapping into it. I wanted more candidates talking about this stuff, because like when we have these campaigns that are like, you look at polling and, I want to say this because of that. No. Like, people, we need healthcare, we need education, we need safety. It's not hard. It's simple, basic stuff. And so I don't know. That's my 2 cents. I'll leave you with that.
Yeah. I appreciate you, JD. I appreciate you joining us. Obviously, you want to stay on, we can stay on. There's more things we're going to talk about that might get you fired up. But my thing is like yes, economic populism. Like, I look at you, I look at Josh Sturt, and it's weird that we're the same in this mindset. And when you look at it, and I mentioned this in a video a while ago, it's because we come from redder areas or pinker areas or whatever they are. It's because I believe that where I come from, where Josh comes from, where you come from, where a lot of us come from, it's like you have to work with your neighbor. You have to, regardless of their political affiliation, you have to be able to communicate with them, work with them, live with them, and you learn how to do things differently. And here's the thing that people don't like to talk about is when you're doing it and you're around these people, you learn really quick that you're not the only person struggling. You really learn really quick that all of us are actually struggling. We're just, some people are better at hiding it. And that's the frustrating shit for me. And that's where that anger comes from, is like, I know there's people out there that can't afford things, but still back what we're seeing in Washington, D.C. And you're talking about universal health care, and they're sitting there going, well, I don't have health care and I'm perfectly fine. Well, you should have health care. You shouldn't have to worry about, paying rent or going to the doctor. You shouldn't have to. We shouldn't, in the richest country in the world, we shouldn't be debating about that. Like, and that's the thing that's very frustrating for all of us, even if you come from an area, blue, whatever, is it just seems like at the end of the day, we're all struggling. And nobody wants to talk about that because nobody wants to be judged about it or whatever it is. Nobody wants to admit to it. Well, here I'm struggling every day, buddy. I'm done playing this card of, let's hide behind the curtain. Like, people need to know, and people need real people. And honestly, that goes back to why I endorsed Josh. I know you endorsed Josh, but that's why I endorsed Josh, because I know he knows struggle, and we had a real conversation about that. And I wish that more people across the state come on the stage, Against the Machine podcast, whatever, will stand up and talk about their own personal struggles financially or just in general with what's going on with what we've seen. And I appreciate you, JD, again, coming on. But yeah, that's my frustration, but that's also our connection, is that economic populism and knowing that good. And that's the thing, is I think it goes back to, and I think Tom Harkin talked about this, is like, me and you are from areas in North Iowa, Northwest Iowa that, you got to be kind of have a chip on your shoulder at times, and you got to think differently than what people in Iowa City or Des Moines might think. And I think that's why we are doing what we're doing now, is because we've seen it, we understand it, and it's time to fight back.
Well, and that's why with Josh, like, I see the same chip on, like, the same thing that made us good athletes are making us good politicians. You know, that chip on your shoulder. We didn't have probably the best facilities growing up and things like that. Like that's something that made me a better athlete. And then just one last thing, like, the best person that helped me politically was my neighbor when I first ran for Congress. He has a truck the size of Texas. He has 5 AR-15s and caucus for Trump back in 2016. And so you'd think, like, we wouldn't have too much in common. We agreed on 85-90% of the stuff. Like, there's a sliver of stuff that we didn't agree on, but I talked with him so much that I could get out of rabbit holes. And so that's what made, like, I loved my town halls. I could ask a question. If I would stop in at a bar or a cafe or something, I could ask a question, and the way you either hesitated or the way you answered the question, like, whatever it is, I knew which direction I want to take you. And by the end, like, I talk with stand-up comedians on this too. Like my town halls were, I had an opener, I had a closer, and I had 3 points I wanted to make, and it was a wild card how we were going to get to all of them.
Yeah.
And like, it just, I just, like, I love campaigning. I absolutely love campaigning. I love getting out there talking to people. Fundraising was awful, but talking to people was great.
I agree with you so much about that, JD. So much. That's what I think that, I mean, man, if me and you could go around in an RV and talk to people all day long and get paid for it, like, that's what I would do, because I loved it too. Like, and because
somebody get on that, by the way, we need that. That would be fantastic.
well, that's the thing, is, like, that's what I miss about that's what I miss about being in it, is, like, I don't, like, everybody talks about, you were on MSNBC or you were on, like, I don't give a shit about that. You know what I remember? I remember the woman in Cherokee, Iowa at a diner at 8:00 in the morning that told me I cussed too much. And she told me, she said, Nathan, she goes, I'm a Republican. I'll vote for you. And I know a lot of Republicans will, but you got to stop cussing. Right. And it was like, those are the conversations that I love to have. And I think, it's people out of their comfort zone. That's why when you mentioned Ashley Hinson and Zach Lane and all these people that are having these closed doors sessions with the only, like, that's what's frustrating, is, like, dude, you're not actually listening to people. You are just telling people what you want them to know and what you want them to go out there and giving them talking points, but you're not actually listening to what they're going through, the struggles they're going through. And that is what frustrated me, just not even as a candidate, but as a person in Iowa, is, like, these people don't give a shit about us because they care more about the money that they're getting in and the people that are backing them and their talking points than they do about Iowans. And that is the most frustrating thing that I think all of us have to deal with.
Exactly. And I'll never forget Roger Walker, the last dairy farmer in Palo Alto County. At the time I was on his farm, he was milking his cows, and that milk was using to feed them. Like, it was just because, like, he was just waiting because he was the last one in the line, and the company said, hey, we're not going out that far anymore. It's not cost productive or whatever. And so he's the last dairy farmer in Palo Alto County. And it just, like, those stories just stick with you. Yeah, I don't know, man.
I feel like we could talk about this all day.
I know. I should run, but thank you so much for having me on. I have mad respect for all you guys, and thank you for doing this, Sage. Or Nathan.
Yeah, absolutely. You can call me Sage all you want.
I have a couple friends who are Sage.
Well, that's the thing, is, like, I'm in the former military. That's what I got called all the time. When I went to North Carolina for my daughter's graduation, my friend from the Army, she was talking to my wife and my nieces, and she's just like, yeah, Sage did this, and Sage did, and my wife actually had a sister named Sage, so it was like, whoa, what the hell is that? But that's what I'm used to, so it's all good.
You should hear what I call him.
just dumbass all the time. But okay, appreciate you, JD. You have a great rest of your day.
JD.
You too.
Okay. Well, we're still continuing on here on the Sage Against the Machine podcast. I did want to jump right from that. So I added stuff today. I know we have some national headlines, but the one headline there's an Iowa headline that I want to get to right away and I want us to discuss because we're fired up about things right now is that it's the Iowa Ashley Hinson lavish spending vacations apartments. Iowa representative who paints herself as a working class mom spent $50,000 of taxpayer money on luxury apartments and was gifted $100,000 in overseas vacations, all while sitting on a huge net worth. And she paints herself as this working class person. I've seen her on TV talking about, well, I got to spend the same amount in my minivan. And this is what I want to say, and this might not be politically correct, but at the end of the day, fuck you, Ashley Hinson. You are that shit pisses me off more than anything. We know that you have increased your net worth. I think it's almost 10 times. You're worth almost $8 million, if not more, right now. I couldn't imagine. I know Spencer, I know you, Dr. Bob, couldn't imagine that type of money and having a life like that, and then still trying to tell people that it's hard for you to put gas in your tank. Like, come on. And I'm so tired of hearing that. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on that because I feel like I could just be cussing nonstop. But at the end of the day, what are your thoughts on Ashley Hinson trying to portray herself as a working class mom with all the gifts and all the things that she's doing behind scenes? Anyone of you?
Go for it, Spencer.
So thanks, Dr. Bob. So I was just in Marion this past weekend, visiting my family for the 4th of July, and that's where she lives. Did not realize until I read this article that it's a 6-bedroom house in Marion, Iowa, which, by the way, Marion is probably one of the most... 2 kids. Yeah, so I don't know why she needs those 4 or 5 extra bedrooms. And Marion is not a cheap place to live. I mean, I come from a pretty modest, we have a 3-bedroom house like most normal people growing up. So yeah, to have that perspective and come back from my dad's house and her saying, my dad is retired, Social Security, he does have IPERS because he worked for the school district in Linmar. But I mean, that's it. So he really does have to struggle.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't have to struggle. She said that, oh yeah, I have to fill my fridge every 2 days. So I know the struggle. By the way, she doesn't fill that fridge. I guarantee she's not at Hy-Vee on Sunday morning like my dad is. If she lives in a 6-bedroom house, she has somebody do all of that stuff for her. And obviously she's not even there for half the time because she's taking $100,000 in overseas vacations.
Yeah, I think what I think of that is like that is what I talked about in the primary. That's what I continue to talk about every day, and I feel like that's what Iowans are really fucking tired of. We're tired of, like I said back then, it was slick backed haired politicians wearing the suit saying, now it's just the blonde wearing a nice dress, standing up there, trying to portray a working class individual or trying to cosplay as one by saying it on TV doesn't make it true, and that is the frustrating part for me. And here's the thing: if Ashley Hinson struggled growing up, and there was some struggle there, which I know she didn't because she went to West Des Moines Valley High School, if there was some sort of struggle there growing up, then I could say, okay, yeah, and you were able to get out of that. But at the end of the day, you didn't, and all you've been doing this whole time that you've been in Congress and at the state to where you are now is been taking money from people to make sure that you continue to have money for your family and your friends while everybody else across the state struggles. You voted for the big beautiful bill to watch Medicaid rips happen across the state, and then you want to talk about those issues for working class candidates, or you want to talk about it, but then you're the one, and the issues are because people like you that are doing that. So I don't understand that conversation. I don't understand this thought process of, hey, I can look at what I said but not what I do bullshit, and I'm so tired of it. And I pray that these Iowans across the state see her for what she is and see Josh for what he is. Somebody who came from struggle, someone who has his sister who has cancer right now. He knows how hard this life is for a lot of people in his area and across the state. And then you have somebody like Ashley who is trying to portray that because she knows that's what voters care about. And it sickens me. It pisses me off. And I'm just tired of it. And honestly, that's the only thing that I miss about being campaigning is right now. I wish I could be out there talking more shit about Ashley Hinson because I got the sign here, but I don't feel like it's enough, right? I don't feel like it's enough. If you're a lying sack of shit and you're saying all this stuff to try and get people to believe you, even though you don't give a crap about them at the end of the day, get out of here. We need people in Washington, D.C. that are actually wanting to be there to represent people because they see the problems that are going on. That's what Josh
she's
Dirk
clearly
is.
there for herself. She's clearly there for
Absolutely.
herself. I would imagine most of her
Absolutely.
supporters could understand that she was, she started as a TV anchor. From what I heard, the rumor was she actually shopped herself to the Republicans and the Democrats. The Republicans decided to give her more money. It's a rumor, but what the
Yeah.
fuck do I care? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
She lies all the time. I think if that is a lie, she deserved it. I just want to quote this real quick. So she said when she announced her campaign, you remember this well, obviously, but I've stood shoulder to shoulder with President Trump to reverse the woke craziness and put working families first.
Yes.
Yeah, and
I
then
mean, come on.
then she attacks Lynmar High School.
Correct.
The national press for trying to provide opportunities for all of the students, not demonize them. It's
Which
just,
Lynmar should have been proud of and should
Yes.
have been highlighted as something that the state of Iowa should be proud of.
Yeah. So I wouldn't have a problem. Well, I have a problem with everything she's done. I mean, essentially, if you voted with Trump, if you voted for Trump, you're essentially responsible for the murder of millions of people, hundreds of thousands, millions of people, most of them children. So I'm just going to say that. And if you think about what's happening in Venezuela, what our support of what we're doing in Gaza, we can make an argument that she is complicit with war crimes perpetuated by the Trump administration. War crimes, people dying, children going hungry. And so I guess I think I want to pile on about all of these things, and I really want to pile on the rumors that some of her teachers at Valley High School told me about, her parents buying her a house in Malibu so she wouldn't have to stay in the dorms. But that's a distraction. All of this is a distraction. It's all true, and we need to be telling that. But the big picture is deaths, destruction, hunger. And supposedly the greatest nation on earth that can't even feed their kids. We can't heal the sick. It's just, that's the narrative. That's the overarching narrative why we have to oppose every Republican, because in their wake, in her wake, is death and destruction.
You know what frustrates me, and this is like the way I look at Ashley Hinson, I didn't even know who she really was until Joni decided she wasn't going to run, because my focus was on Joni when I first launched, and then Ashley, because for a long time we didn't know if Joni was going to run or not, and then Ashley decided it was going to be her. And what people don't know is across my 99 county tour, going out to all these events, how many times, my staff could talk about this, how many times people would ask me, Nathan, how do we know that when you get to Washington, D.C., that you're not going to do the same thing, that you're not going to take the money and run and be a Fetterman or be whatever is and for the Republican Party and be against what you're doing. And I tried to tell everybody, the analogy I always thought of was like, it's trying to date a girl. Like when you're a young man trying to court a woman, you are telling her, yeah, baby, I'm going to take care of you. Yeah, we're going to go out this is the life I want to have. You're saying a lot of things, but women know more than anything. Actions speak louder than words. So Ashley Hinson should understand that her actions speak louder than the words. And the words that she's saying are complete bullshit, while her actions are also bullshit and causing more pain and more problems in our state and across this country, because she doesn't want to stand up to the administration and do the right thing, like we were talking about with JD, standing up and doing the right thing at the right time. Instead, she just wants to kind of skate along, playing that out. And you said that rumor, Spencer, about how she was portraying herself to Democrats or Republicans. That's just a rumor, obviously, but at the end of the day, like, that lines up with what we know about Ashley.
Here's the question. I'm sure both of you guys could see her completely if she was running as a Democrat, forget that she had run as a Republican before. We all know that she's just it's paper mache.
Yes,
it's just a shell of whatever anybody with the most money decides to feed into her, which is like most politicians. It's not just piling on Ashley, but she is certainly one of the worst, I would say, at just being completely fake.
Well, how can you say we're going to ban stock trading, but then you're stock trading on your own and making a profit off it? Like, how does that make any sense to any one of us? But it makes somehow you try to spin it to make it make sense to people, and that is my biggest frustration. And we're going to have a why is Nathan cussing eventually for this one, but that is my biggest frustration is these fucking assholes that think we're all stupid. Like that is the thing that drives me nuts, and I feel like they think we're stupid because people don't necessarily always stand up and say how they feel. Because I was raised in a family that was like, if you don't have nothing good to say, don't say anything at all, right? Like treat people the way you want to be treated. All of those golden rules we were taught, and it seems like that's what we have with independent voters and people in general is there's a lot of people that, well, I don't want to say anything because, I don't want to put myself in that situation or anything like that where something can be held against me or anything like that. And I'll just use my voting to talk. Well, no, we need more people. I feel like this country and the state needs more people in general to start just talking about how they're actually feeling and not just going along. It's like a bully at a lunch table. Like you don't want to be the one that's bullied. So you're kind of like letting this kid next to you get his face punched in. That's not okay. It's not okay, and we need to do something different. We need to like stand up, and that is what's frustrating. We all know the right things. We all have a moral compass. We all feel it, and we know what's going on. And what Ashley is saying is not okay. And so when I see these fucking headlines like this, it just drives me insane because it's like, dude, quit being this fake ass. Please, someone be real with us, even if you're a Republican, right? Like, be real with us. Quit this fake crap. I can't stand it anymore. I feel like I could just talk about this all day long. I feel like I could rant all day long, but we got more things to get to. One thing I really wanted to get to, I'm gonna jump around in these headlines. One thing I really wanted to get to, you guys can maybe answer this question because I know a lot of people can't right now, is where the hell is Mitch McConnell? Like, what is going on there, right? Like I know there's a medical episode. I know that I've seen there's so many rumors on social media and all this stuff. Like, first of all, what are your thoughts on the Mitch McConnell situation? I know the governor in Kentucky, Andy Beshear, wrote him a letter, basically, asking where the hell he's at, why he's, because at the end of the day, he's still representing people. So, what are your guys' thoughts on Mitch McConnell's situation?
I want to hear Dr. Bob's thoughts.
Well, I've been reading a lot about it, and there's a lot of controversy about it. The biggest one, the funniest thing was Scott Jennings and I forget who else. I guess John Thune and somebody else. They apparently all had 20-minute conversations with him where they talked about all kinds of things, including Iran. And it's just like, and I don't know, I heard this on a podcast. I can't remember who it was, but it's really a good point. Is they really had all of these substantive conversations. And why is his wife in China?
Right.
Really,
it doesn't make any sense.
No,
it's weird.
2 days after he was nearly dead on the floor. Well, I'm gone. So,
right. See ya.
Yeah, you're dead. Yeah.
Well, of course, the jokes coming out of that too were that she was, there was always speculation that she was maybe, a Chinese spy, and it's like, okay, this deal is done. I'm going to go back and collect my prize money from China and be done with this whole crap.
Well, and there was all kinds of financial shenanigans with China and the McConnell family.
Right.
It's just, she knows which side. He's just, a warm, still barely warm piece of meat. Why is she going to hang around with him? She didn't really apparently like him anyway. So I don't know.
Mitch, I was going to say Mitch McConnell was my first there's been bad politicians out there and people that I couldn't stand. He was the first one that really made my blood boil with what he did with the Supreme Court and withholding and not having that vote. Like when I look back on it and back on history, I look back on that moment. I always thought about like this pettiness we have in our politicians where it's like, well, I can't do that because he's on a Republican, like back and forth, the Republican Democrat little petty stuff. Like we're going to get you because you did this and that. Like Mitch McConnell is the epitome of all of that, and I think back to that, and I hate to say it like this, but I don't know any other way to say it, but I still feel like I have hate in my heart there for that, where I'm still angry, pissed off that took place, and So for me to have for me to have sympathy for him in this situation right now, it's hard. I obviously don't wish illness or anything on anybody. I'm better than Republicans in that stretch, but at the end of the day, like, I mean, karma's a bitch.
I had a moment there where after I was making fun of McConnell, I was saying, you just made fun you called him a warm piece of meat lying there or something. I just had a moment of thinking that I should feel bad about making fun of a dying man. And then I thought, nah,
No.
I'll just
Why?
live with it.
He would not feel bad about you. Trust me, guys. He would not feel bad whatsoever.
Or
So
anybody, we'd have health care.
Exactly.
We're running down on time. I want to get to another thing here really quick if I can. I know, Dr. Bob, you'll love to rant about this. Is the headline from the Iowa Capital Dispatch about the Iowa lost, 17% of staff for the USDA in 2025. The impact is being felt by farmers facing going to offices. It says a new report found Iowa lost about 17% of its USDA employees in 2025, including 19% of natural resources, conservation, if I can say it, conservation service staff, and 8% of farm service agency, the FSA staff. Those employees help farmers enroll in conservation programs, process disaster assistance, administer farm loans, and provide technical assistance. And I wanted to put this on here. I know, Dr. Bob, you can rant really hard about this, but at the end of the day, I wanted to say, like, that's what we've been talking about for a long time, these tariffs, the issues that we're seeing with farmers. It seems like there's an attack on rural America, on rural Iowa, and trying to make it harder for farmers to do the right things for environmental purposes, for just in general to be the services they need to be the farmers and the productive farmers we know them to be. It's getting harder day in and day out, and it seems like it's by design. Dr. Bob, your turn to go.
Well, our friend Matt Russell, who's, the former head under the Biden administration of the Farm Service Agency, he and I talk a lot. And he talked a lot about how hard those FSA workers worked, and the NRCS offices as well, how hard they worked to help communities, to help farmers, to get farmers with the kinds of supports and advice that they needed, that they were dedicated professionals. And some of them had spent years learning their craft, and that when it doesn't work, when they don't have the staffing they need, I think I heard the other day that Polk County has a person that comes in from Boone once a week. I think I read that the other day. This is purposeful. They want government not to work. Republicans at the state level, at the national level, defund, dismantle, say they're trying to save money, saying they're trying to, make it efficient, but they're not. They're trying to destroy it. They want everything privatized. They want to suck as much taxpayer money up as they can. They want to break government so that they can then say, see, government doesn't work. We need to privatize it. This is another giant, just wrecking ball that they're taking to the farm economy, and that they hope that people forget. And a lot of people, there aren't as many farmers as there used to be. There are people that aren't going to know this, but this is their goal. It's totally predictable, and it's wrong. It's bad, and the fact that these people, especially the young people that went to college, from farms, wherever they came, and they wanted to serve. They wanted to serve the farming community. This has been their dream. And same for the Park Service people, Forest Service people. Forest Service is essentially gone. And so all those people dreamed of providing those kinds of services, and were talented and knowledgeable. And that's the last thing the Trump administration wants, is talented, knowledgeable people, because in the void, they're going to find some way to make money.
So one thing I wanted to mention, and I don't want to rant on this, I just want to mention it to you guys, is one thing that was frustrating and hard to overcome for me, raising money for my campaign. So you're on call time, you're talking to people all over the country, you're trying to bring money in so you can run, was the amount of people on the phone with me that were pissed that Iowa farmers vote the way they vote. And so many of them would be like, well, why should I support you, Nathan? Why should I give money to your campaign when they're just going to continue to vote against their best interests and against? Do you both of you have any thoughts or talking points in regards to that aspect of this? Because I know that they're feeling the pain, the issues, and their foreclosures and farm suicides are up, and all of that's up. Like, from the outside looking in, from outside of Iowa, there's a lot of people that are frustrated with the continuous, issues going on. And then we're talking about the issues with farmers right now and how tough it is. It's like, what do politicians or what do people in Iowa need to do to get everybody on board, all farmers on board with, hey, Democrats are not the evil ones. We're trying to do what we can to help you continue farming, continue fighting for it. So you guys have any talking points or any thoughts about that?
I'm going to say the forbidden thing right now that's gotten a lot of attention. Democrats are running all white guys.
Mm-hmm.
That is a winning strategy in Iowa. As much as that might pain me to say and pain people to hear, there's a reason why Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris and did not beat Joe Biden.
Yeah.
There's many reasons, but I think a lot of people are picking up what I'm laying down there. Democrats need to win. We don't need to prove a point. We need to win. And that's what I think we're trying to figure out here.
I absolutely love the way you just said that. I absolutely love that. I'm going to put that out there that you just said that is that we don't need to prove a fucking point. We just need to win. And once we win, once we take back those seats, once we take back the Senate and the House, then we can start to do the changes that we need. But to make those changes happen for everybody, for all of us, I said this on the campaign, we have to turn it blue. We have to win.
We've got 3 women
that
are very talented running for Congress that we need to get 100% behind, and they're going to win, and they're not going to win because they're women necessarily. They're going to win because they're the best. And I think that, and in my perspective is that I value what these women have to say. I value what women have to say. Women have a very different perspective than I do. I'm just going to admit that, and it's one I admire. People of different faiths and different colors and different creeds always teach me something. And so I'm behind a rich, diverse group of people, the very best that we have to offer to fight. It's, we don't need self-fulfilling prophecies. We need the best people from whatever background it is, and we need to get behind them 100%. And we've made progress. And just because some of the constituency is racist, we cannot and sexist, we cannot pander to them.
No, I agree. I agree with what you're saying as well. But I think I understand what Spencer is saying in general is like, we know in the areas that I'm trying to word this the right way. Spencer, you might have to help me out here. When it comes to the electorate, we've seen Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, great, amazing women, great, powerful women candidates. The
fact of the matter is Iowa is not a diverse state compared to the 49 other states. I mean, we're very white, and that's just the demographics of it. So the pool that we have to pull candidates from and the voters are 90% white. That's just the facts.
Yeah. Just like we are on the show right now.
3 white guys.
Yeah, right?
We're very diverse on this show, are we not?
Yeah, but I think here's what I'm going to play. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think Lindsey James is going to win. I think STGs are going to win. I think Christina Bohannon's win. Those are the 3 women that I think are strong and they're going to actually win this and turn Iowa like that. I think Josh Turk's going to win. I think Rob Sand's going to win. And I'm going to do everything in my damnedest to make sure every single one of them wins. Our next guest for next week is on Tuesday is Jennifer Converse. I can't wait to get her thoughts on all of this as well. If anybody on the campaign trail knows, like that was Jennifer and Josh were like the two people that if they were at an event, I was excited because I got someone that I knew that felt the same way I did, and we could chat and we could joke. I can't wait to have her on next
I'm
week.
looking forward to that too. Yeah.
At the end of the day, I feel like what I want more than anything is Lindsey James, Christina Bohannon, and STG to win, because not just because they're women, because like Dr. Bob said, they are the best options that we have to get us there, but also it inspires other women and other people that might not feel like they can actually get to where they're at or run for the state or whatever. It inspires them to see those powerful women do that. And that's what I was trying to get to, is what's so disheartening about the election in 2016 and the election with Kamala Harris is we all felt it. We were like, these are and it didn't transpire. It didn't happen. And at the end of the day, I look back on, we gotta win. Iowa needs to win so bad right now, and so let's rally behind the candidates we have and let's keep pushing them forward. And it's just frustrating because it's like, I think back to Christina Bohannon being this close, and we need to turn out the vote. And I think there was
the biggest thing too, I think a lot of people are just hoping that rising tide. I mean, Rob Sand is a great candidate at the top of the ballot.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people are going to go out to vote for Rob Sand, Republicans, Independents, Democrats. So that is going to help. You would hope other Democrats do well in their own districts. So, I mean, that's the hope. We'll see in 4 months whether that happens.
Yeah. Okay. Let's change. We're getting down to time on here. I got to cuss, guys. We can't go a podcast without me cussing, right? So what's making Nathan Sage cuss today? Here's the thing that's been making me cuss for a while. It's Medicaid cuts are hitting rural America. Why is Nathan cussing? Working people shouldn't have to drive an hour to see a doctor. Rural hospitals and clinics are warning they'll face even greater financial strain as federal Medicaid changes move forward, and communities across Iowa worry about losing access to health care. Whether you're a Republican, Democrat, or Independent, people deserve access to affordable health care close to home. And here's why I'm going to cuss, because this is what me and JD talked about earlier on this podcast. This is the shit that fucking pisses me off more than anything, is that big, beautiful bill I talked about on the campaign trail. We knew that this was going to happen. We knew hospitals were going to close. We knew that clinics were going to close. We're seeing it. I tried to tell everybody back then that this is an attack on rural America. This is what this is. They want us all consolidated in major metropolitan areas. And how do you do that? You make it hard for people to have a life in rural communities, in rural areas. And that is what they're doing. Not just with this, but also with the cuts we're seeing to Planned Parenthood for women across the board as well. At the end of the day, we got to stop trying to, follow a political power to raise money and create money for ourselves, and look at the people that we're supposed to be representing and understanding that we're all struggling and we can't do it. And the one thing that we need more than anything in this world is health care. And the thing that makes me more mad than anything is I talked about it on the campaign trail. It gets me pissed off is I know the struggle because I watched my dad not want to go to the hospital for months because he didn't want that bill. And what happened to him is he got cancer and we had days to weeks to live. And now I can't have a conversation with my dad about the Iowa Hawkeyes and how awesome they are. I can't even have any conversation in the world with my dad because at the end of the day, it was more expensive and he couldn't go to get seen when he needed to be seen. And there's so many people across this state and across this country that do the same fucking thing. And we can't keep doing it. We have to be able to make it where people can go to see the doctor, not worry about the bill. They go see the doctor because they know they need to get seen because they know they're not okay. And I just don't understand our process as Americans. We're the richest country in the world. We're spending billions on a war in Iran. We're spending billions on God knows what with the ICE and all this administration's doing, but we can't afford to be able to make it where people in this country can go see the doctor when they need to see the fucking doctor. Like, I don't get it. So that is why am I cussing today? I feel like I could cuss nonstop about it because I feel like I'm seeing it happen, unfold in front of me. All the things I talked about are going to happen. And it's It's infuriating, and I'm done bowing down to these assholes that don't think that we need the things that we need, because Ashley Hinson is sitting in her rich ass house, taking her vacations, getting money from corporate PACs, doing all she can to make sure that she sucks up to and licks the boot of Donald Trump, as opposed to fight for the constituents she's supposed to fight for, the Medicaid and the health care that we need in Iowa more than anything. You heard, like I said, you heard JD talk about up in Northwest Iowa. They don't have many options. They need health care. They need help. And here we are debating about it. Why the fuck are we debating about it? It doesn't make any sense. How the majority of the population understands healthcare is a problem and we need healthcare. We need help. Why can't we not get it done? Because it doesn't put money in their pockets. That's why. It puts money in insurance pockets. That's they're making money hand over fist, and that's why you're seeing the people stand up and create and cause crimes and kill people, because they are pissed off in general that their family couldn't get help. And you think it's going to get any better? It's not. And we have to do something different.
We just saw today, Council Bluffs is closing down CHI Health Center. Ottumwa's closed down clinics. Was it Clinton, Iowa, no longer has birthing center. So,
yep.
I mean, that's a town of 30,000+ people that no longer delivers babies in town.
And it's people losing their jobs. Mason City they cut back on the amount of employees. So it's people losing their jobs because, and then we're wondering, okay, well, we got a brain drain in Iowa. Everybody's leaving Iowa. Why the fuck are they leaving Iowa? Because we're stupid. That's why. Because the politicians and the people in the Capitol are choosing profits over people. They're choosing money over what is best for the people. And that's what even makes me more mad, is that these people still get voted in. Like,
Republicans are choosing Kansans over Iowans.
Yes.
What the fuck is going on?
Speaking of that, before I go any further, why the hell did Zach Land's campaign block the Polk County Democrats on Facebook? Like,
I saw that.
I just think that's so childish. I think that, and that's what's insane, is most Democrats that I've met across this journey, most of the candidates I've met, are willing to talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime. And JD we talked about it now, about how these candidates for Republicans are holding closed door town halls, and they don't want to invite everybody in. That should be a red flag to everybody across the state and across the country, that they are not here to fight and work for you. They're here to fight for the people that are in those doors that are giving them money. And that is the most disgusting thing that we have to continue to deal with. I know I ranted a lot. Dr. Bob, you've been quiet. I want to hear your any thoughts that you have.
Well, you were discussing the Lane campaign, and they only want to hear the message. It's a cult. You can't get too much information from outside. It's a cult. They don't even want the Democratic Party, who hadn't even commented or said anything. They didn't even want them looking at them. They want to hide everything. There's a Friends of Zach Lane page, and there was some people commenting, thoughtful comments, critical of Lane, maybe not all of them, I suppose, but they'd post, "Go away. This is supporters of Zach Lane. We don't want to hear any of this criticism." It's a cult, and they have to control the narrative, the information, and then they'll throw up all of this other crap, throw everything against the wall, and something will stick, about Rob Sand, or
he's a pizza eater.
Oh my God, he's a pizza eater. Oh my God. He's a pizza.
You guys know, so what you guys don't know, I text Rob after I saw the commercial where he's eating I have so much pizza in my mouth, and I told him that is your I like turtles moment, and it made me laugh, because all of us, don't deny it, all of us love Casey's Pizza, and we all enjoy Casey's breakfast pizza, right? That's what
why
we
would
do.
That be a divisive thing, right?
And that is an Iowa thing, right?
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Here's why Zach Lane doesn't know about that, because he's from Kansas. That's why.
Exactly.
Here's the thing that I know that a lot of people don't know. My wife's family's from Kansas. I think of Kansas as a second home. I lived there. I went to college there. I was stationed there. I love Kansas. I do. And here's the thing. I tried to get them down there to eat Casey's Pizza, and they loved it, but they still don't. They don't do it normally like all of us here in Iowa do. So that's a big, and that's why Zach Lane could say that stuff, because he hasn't tapped into the Iowa blood that we all are, that we love Casey's Pizza and we support Casey's Pizza. So
we need to quit talking about Casey's Pizza unless they decide to advertise.
Hey, maybe they'll put it. Maybe they'll endorse us, Dr. Bob. You
I
need to
don't
shut
think
your damn
so.
mouth.
I think
DM
they're-
me, Casey's. I got an opportunity for you.
Hey, I'm a fat guy, Dr. Bob. If I can sit here and on this podcast and eat a Casey's pizza nonstop every time, I will do it just because it is delicious. Anyways, we'll move forward with that. We're getting down to the end here. I just wanted to make sure that we threw some shade at Zach Land because he's an idiot, and I want to do that more and more often. But at the end of the day, I feel like we did a good show here. I'm glad we were able to have JD on. I'm glad to see he's doing
JD.
good. I am jealous. I did want to ask him. He talked about he went to Montana. I was like, did you still have the RV that you had from your campaign, and did you drive
We'll have
that
to find
to
out.
Montana? That's a question I wonder out there. Other than that, anybody, you guys got any last words before we end this episode?
Go Twins. That's for JD.
I think
What about
that's a
you,
good
Dr. Bob?
note to end on.
Hey, I do want to say, tune in next week. We got Jennifer Conner. You guys don't understand how excited I am. I know Penny, her mom follows us, listens to us every episode. She's a big supporter of mine. She's going to be excited because we're all going to be on here. I feel like you guys are going to be sitting on the sidelines, and me and Jennifer are just going to be laughing about a lot of things and ranting about a lot of things. But either way, going to be a good time. That's coming up next week on Tuesday, and then that Thursday, I believe we have Ryan Peterman coming on as well. So great shows coming up next week. I'm excited. I'm glad you guys are. I'm glad we were able to have Spencer. Spencer, thank you for actually joining us this time.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. It was a blast.
I know but either
Thank
way,
you.
thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you on the flippity flip. See you.